Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Philly Fan Radio. I'm your host, John Meyer, along with Dan Palmieri, and this is part two. We're going to be talking about the draft, the future of the Eagles autism. We already said bye-bye to AJ in our last episode, but I'm sure we're going to say it again. Dan, a quick recap that what happened in our last one that we talked about, round one. We had Makai Lemon, which, first of all, was a great steal, and I'm not going to go through them all, but we talked around 2, 3, and 5, and in this conversation, I want to talk around 6 and round 7, but also the future of the Eagles autism. First of all, we did give a feedback on the overall draft, but my question to you is what grade would you give the Eagles for their draft here for 2026?
Overall, I think they did really well, so I'd be inclined to do like a B plus.
B plus? I
Yeah.
was around an A minus.
Okay.
The reason being is, first of all, what they did in round one, their steal.
Yeah.
Like the pun there.
hmm
All right. Forget Makai Lemon, but I think getting Eli Stowers as a tight end for it. I think the other decision that they did is, getting the QB, which I'm okay of them selecting a QB, regardless of all the speculations of, Hertz's replacement, which is ridiculous, and we've kind of talked about it. But I'm with you. I think it was a solid draft.
Yeah, and it goes back to the move they made in the third round too. So you got to throw Jonathan Grenard in there, even though obviously he's not a draft pick. But
Yep.
did you get value at that pick? Meaning, is
That's a
if
draft pick to me,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. If you drafted Jonathan Grenard in the third round, is that value for what you gave up? And I think it is. I think
They
it
only
is.
gave up a third round for 2026 and
Mm-hmm.
2027. I think that was a steal. I mean, I think they did really good on getting that. So that was a solid draft pick. The other one I actually want to talk about, let's talk about round 6. Makai Morris, Georgia, come on.
Yeah.
Pick 207 seems to be that seems to be their go-to college to pull players from. I mean, literally, that's what? I don't know, a percentage of the team. I'd say 15, 20% of the team.
Remember the years that they wouldn't draft in the SEC and they take these weird ones out of TCU and these colleges you never heard of?
Off the
So,
couch ones.
yeah, exactly. So I'm happy they're going to SEC. But yeah, they've had good results at Bulldogs and another guy that's going to provide a valuable depth piece. He was a good starter. I mean, it's not like he started for a bum team, so he was playing the best of the best in the country and when it comes to college. So it's going to be a solid pick. I hope he turns out better than what we have because I've never been a big fan of Steen. So, but to say that a round 6 guy's going to come in there and immediately start is being unrealistic. But it's a good depth piece. He's a good pick. Maybe he'll surprise us. I mean, offensive linemen, you tend to hit a little bit more on the later rounds. So, could be a good pick.
I think it's going to be a solid one. He's definitely a solid dude to pick for. Is he going to replace Steen? You know what? If Steen is injured or comes in there and is not productive, I think they'll put him in early so he can adapt throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, and I think it might also be a pick that they made with Landon Dickerson in mind. Remember,
Yep.
he did restructure his contract, which is all well and good, but the main thing to keep in mind is that they took a year off the end of the contract. And it's not like they're saying, oh, well, we took a year off because you're crap, you're not playing well. They took a year off because we both know that Landon Dickerson might retire very
He
early.
talked about it this
hmm
offseason along with Lane Johnson of retiring. So if you looked at it, what their needs were a tight end, Dallas Goddard, because we weren't sure that he was going to be coming back. Lane Johnson wasn't
Right.
sure his decision. They got Fred Johnson on a 1 year. Lane Dickerson wasn't sure that he was going to return. All these players that have this thoughts in their mind, you have to plan for the future. And I think this is a good pick.
Yeah, absolutely. And he is a true guard. So he's not one of those guys that you're going to swing out to tackle. We talked about how they got the tackle from Miami. So it's always good to provide depth. It's never the sexiest pick, but when it comes down to winning football games, it is.
Yep. So the other one I want to bring up there, here we go. We've got Cole Winowski from Texas Tech, round 7, pick number 244. All right, a safety. What's the thoughts behind this? Because you got Makuba, you've got Epps, right,
hmm
in the lineup. and you did lose Sidney Brown, which I don't think was a loss. He was great on special teams. Sidney Brown was great on special teams. I just don't think he was a solid safety.
No, he wasn't a safety. And they got the special teams guy from the Saints. He was an all-pro special teamer. But yeah, I mean, going into the draft, I think we can both say that safety was, yeah, I'd say weakest position.
Yeah.
Okay. Just because Makuba did look good. So you have your established starter. I love the way that Epps played, but is
He
Epps.
just came back, didn't he? Right. So
Mhm.
he came back this past season, and that was a great return.
Yeah, and I think he played really well. Was he impactful to the point where he's like, oh, yeah, this is a future starter? He is a little bit older, but he is a guy that we could throw out there and be like, that's not a liability out there. But in the 7th round, is this kid going to start? No. Could he provide some depth? Yes. Could he not even make the roster? Sure. It's it's a good pick, but again, I'd be lying if I said, "Oh, this is a great value pick," because I never heard of the kid.
Yeah, I actually had to look him up. He has some okay stats. I don't
Hmm.
think he's like, is he a 7th round pick? Yeah, I'm good with their pick. To be honest with you, the Eagles had 3 7-round picks in there, so I'm good with that decision. And the next one, so the next one's really interesting. As soon as I swipe a little
Oh,
bit here
absolutely.
to get to it, Uar Bernard or Ur. I
Er?
I'm not sure. So first of all, Nigeria defensive tackle never played a down. Pick number 251. I think this was interesting, though. I saw him in his highlights of him practicing and working out. He's amazing at that, but it's an interesting pick to me.
Oh yeah, especially it's like a Malata. Malata was drafted, and he really only played rugby.
Yep.
But rugby translates to the NFL a little bit. I mean, blocking, all that stuff. This is a guy that never played football before, but when you look at him, he's physical. I get a kick out of the fact that they say, oh, he's a defensive tackle. How do they know what the hell he's going to
That's
do?
actually a good thing. So, what do you do? Like crapshoot. Hey, what position do you want to play? You have it. I think he has a great build. Could be a wide receiver for all I know.
Yeah, yeah.
To be. Do I think he's a QB? I think that's a very special need. But maybe he's a tight end. But I think more in his build and everything, he's this. Remember what was Kurt's
Javon
Javert
Curse.
Kurtz? He had like a wingspan of like 6 feet or
The
something
freak,
ridiculous.
yeah.
Yeah, so he was AKA the freak. But maybe he's that. I don't know. How do you decide what position you play when you've never played a position?
Yeah, I mean, they project him as a defensive tackle based on his weight, his height, and everything, but who gives a crap? I mean, he's 300 pounds of all muscle. Okay.
Six
Six,
percent body fat. Yeah.
yeah, well, 6'4". But the thing is that he ran a 4.6, which for a 300 pounder, that's like
Yep.
worldly. It's crazy. So to project him as a defensive tackle is a little weird. It's a project no matter what. And
Yep.
it's a fascinating pick because if you look at him physically and you look at his workouts, sure, he could be a first round pick in some
Yep.
instances. But, is he a defensive tackle? Who the hell knows? Maybe he'll be an edge rusher. I mean, who knows? I mean, he's coming to America to play professional football. I think it's a great story. Could we have hit possibly on another international player? That would be pretty cool.
I think it's a project no matter what, a 2-year project,
Mm,
right? So your point with Malata that he played rugby, no pads, and then he
mm.
comes in here and he's playing hardcore in pads. Imagine the effort that he's putting into it. I still think that maybe he is the next Malata in the story. Can the guy sing? I don't know. Maybe he's going to be out putting out Christmas music. I don't know. But to be honest with you, I'm okay with the pick. If they would have done a first round or something ridiculous on this
Mhm.
guy who's never played, yeah, that'd be a little skeptic. But this guy, let me just bring up his picture on it. Here you go. Like, he very happy, very, very
Oh
pleased
yeah.
to join it. So for this to happen, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not like we reached at all. And like you said, it's a 2 to 3 year project. Guy never played football. He has all the measurables. He tested really well. I mean, they put him through NFL workouts in the combine and he blew him away. So could be a very good pick. I mean, it's not like we're banking and saying that we need him to be a starter or anything.
Yep.
If we hit on the guy and he's plays a rotational piece in a future roster, then it's clearly a hit.
Oh yeah, I'm okay. If first of all, I'd love to see him having a couple of snaps in preseason and understand it. I think he's very smart and he's going to pick it up pretty quick and understand the aspects as long as somebody puts in the time with him. You've got Vic, so he's going to be
Hmm.
under some good realm at least for the year that we're going to have Vic in there. Please, Vic, stay another year or two.
Yeah.
We don't
Or
need
10.
yeah, we don't need any more rotations off of that. I'm okay with the pick. And then the last pick that the Eagles had in round 7, Keeshawn James Newby, an edge. So it kind
Hmm.
of solves a problem, but it is the kind of the last pick for them, pick number 252. What are your thoughts? Like, is he going to be a good? How do we know he's going to be a good player?
Yeah, you don't.
Well, I don't know anybody is going to be good in period, no, regardless of their what they're being picked. But
He had a productive college, career. He was a hell of a player, but again, he wasn't on a main school. I think I'd have to look
New
him.
Mexico.
New Mexico.
Yep.
So it's not like this is a school that's playing otherworldly talent there. But at the seventh round, you're just looking for value. You're looking for a lot of guys, actually, you're looking for special teamers, which is more effort than anything else. So will the guy be a special teamer? You hope so. I mean, but again, probably another, if I'm to speculate, probably another practice squad type of guy.
I think it's going to be regardless whatever player that you're picking in the later rounds of the draft, you're looking for a diamond in a rough. You're looking
Hmm.
for that player
Yeah.
that's actually going to come out and do what it needs to do and come out maybe hard. You're going to find somebody. You might find it. I mean, look, if you look at the second round and all the Eagles have done in the later rounds and who they have acquired, there have been very few players that didn't work out.
Yeah. Yeah. But the thing is that you hear all the success stories, okay? You hear the Tom Brady's, you hear the Jason Kelsey's, you hear the Mylatas, all these players that got picked late, but you also seem to forget all the flubs and all the guys that they drafted that just didn't work out. So just curb your expectations. Curb your expectations with a friggin' fourth and fifth rounder. I think the way that I look at a draft is that round one, you need an impact starter. Okay. Regardless. Round two, you want a starter who maybe is not going to be as impactful. Three, I'm looking for a depth piece that can be a starter. And then 4 through 7, I'm just looking to fill depth on a roster. If they turn out to outplay the guy that's their starter, fantastic. That's gold. But if they don't, then I'm not going to be upset about it. We just need depth at positions.
What are your feelings on players that are drafted or coming into a team? So, an example for the Eagles, you got your drafted players, and all of a sudden they're outperforming the starters, the quote unquote starters.
Mhm.
What do you do with these players? Do you be like starters are just kind of going through the motion? They've been there, they're complacent, right? Or whatever it is. Do
Yeah.
you potentially replace some of those players or put them in as a starter to ignite the starters back into like that fire, that passion to it? Don't get me wrong, and I'm not talking about Cole Payton replacing Hurts or
Yeah.
anything,
Yeah.
coming in and outperforming him. There are certain starting positions that are kind of set, like Lane Johnson.
Mhm.
He's going to be out there. You've seen him year after year.
Yeah, I think that the coach's number one job is to put the best team on the field, regardless of the
Okay,
player.
Howie. That was a Howie answer.
Yeah,
Oh
well,
my God. That was
it is true.
I know. It is very true, but that was like a Howie answer right there.
Well, you got to deal with the personalities, okay? We saw it, prime example. We'll go back to Carson Wentz, okay? When Carson Wentz was told basically that he was going to have to be in competition with Jalen Hurts for the starting position. Instead of putting his best foot forward and going out there and killing it, he kind of withered and just kind of sat there and was like, I want to trade. I want to be traded. You don't want those guys. You want guys that want to be pushed, and you want those guys that go out there and say, you're not going to take my spot because I'm that much better than who you're going to replace me with.
I think competition is healthy.
It is.
I think it puts your best player forward. I think it allows you to identify who is the best player for the team. Just like your answer, we're always evaluating players, and we're going to put players in the best position that does good for this team.
Yeah, and like you said, there's going to be people that are locked in. There's established starters that that aren't going to be replaced, but that's not to say that you're not going to move up to, let's say, second on the depth chart and then eventually become a starter. And
what if that player gets injured? You're in there all of a sudden, you are the number one, and that player comes back, you're still performing at high quality. You're not moving them out of that slot.
Yeah, recent thing is, Milton Williams. Milton Williams wasn't a starter here. He was a rotational defensive tackle who just happened to shine. Moro Jomo. Moro Jomo is another one of those defensive tackles that I think could start on a lot of teams. He's always productive. And the fact is that he's a hell of a player, but if he would have just withered and not tried and been relegated to the back of the depth chart, then he wouldn't have done it. And I think competition is healthy. You see a lot of teams with players that do get complacent, and that is a problem, big time.
So, Dan, when I go look through, and I want to recap the draft here before we kind of move on to some of the OTAs that are happening, the status of the team is that round one was excellent, the 20th pick overall, which actually they went in as the 23rd. Round two, round three, they gave up one of their round threes this year and last year for Greenard. Round five was, the North Dakota State guy, which, he's always, you know what, before I continue, do you feel that he's always going to be under that spotlight because he's from North Dakota and it's kind of like, the media is going to have a day with this.
Media
is going to have a day.
Yes.
Media
and fans.
They're going to keep picking at it. They're going to be like, and if any of you fans out there, while the game goes on and it goes bad, a shout for this kid to come on here, I'm going to kick you out of the stadium. Listen, Hurts is going to have bad days and bad things going on, but let me tell you, if that shit starts, we're going to have issues.
The flames will be stoked by the media. I mean, the media is going to go off with it. You see, some fans are already posting about it. But anybody that has half a brain who looks at this thing logically, it's not going to happen.
Nope.
It's not. And
they just need something to talk about. Like, we have stuff to talk about and have fun things. Yeah. But as a fan perspective, we're gonna bitch left and right. But we're here protecting Hurts. Round 6, they had the 1 pick in Georgia Bulldog. Great, whatever it is. And then round 7, they had the 3, which for the Nigerian guy, I'm rooting for him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm rooting for him to come out. He fully understands the game and just dominates. And then all of a sudden he's in there all the time. And it was the biggest steal of the draft, and how he's going to even look 10 times bigger.
Yeah, you can't help but root for the guy. He looks the part, but you got to play the part. And it's going to be a project because he's got to learn the sport. It's not like he's just learning a new position. He's learning the sport.
He's learning football, which is really, called soccer for them, or football for them, but he's not kicking it with his feet. Mm-hmm. So actually there's a thing. He could have came out as a kicker.
The most ripped kicker in the world. Yeah.
Sorry. Mm-hmm. I had to throw that out there. All right, Dan, I know we talked about the overall drafts. I'm an A- here, B+, and I think that's a good grading on what they did. Do we feel, even though you've kind of given them a grade, do you feel that the Eagles have addressed their needs, but your concerns?
Other than the safety position, I do feel like, and I'm going to throw free agency in there, I do feel that they've taken positions of weakness and made them strengths.
They weren't even hot during the free agency to start. It was just the little moves, the little things that they did.
The one thing when I think of free agency, I think of Woolen for the cornerback from
Yep.
Seattle. We all knew that the cornerback 2 position was an absolute nightmare. Now, Adoree Jackson did hold it down a little bit. There were times that he was exposed, but towards the end of the season, he got better. But we all knew, and we talked about it. You can go back in our episode listing. You can listen to me bitch and rant
Dan's got
about it.
love for Ringo.
Yeah. But we all knew going into the season that it was going to be hard because they were going to roll with Ringo. They were going to roll with, it ended up being like Jacorian Bennett that they ended up signing, Adoree Jackson. They weren't going with guys that were good.
That you heard of,
Yeah,
basically.
so and the league has gone towards a position of you gotta have, well, not gotta have, but you have 2 solid 1A and 1B receivers. And I hate to use as an example, but Dallas, okay? Dallas does have a great offense. They're gonna put out there, they're gonna put CeeDee Lamb out there, and they're gonna put George Pickens out there. What happened last year? George Pickens absolutely destroyed our cornerback 2, whoever the hell we were trying out there. Now you got Reek Woolen out there, and you're thinking to yourself, who the hell am I going to throw at? Am I going to throw at Quinyon Mitchell? I don't think so. Are you going to throw at Reek Woolen? I wouldn't. Are you going to throw at Cooper DeJean?
I was
Hell
he's going
no.
to throw in center or the slot, and Cooper's going to be there, or
Hell
Vaughn's
no.
going to pick it up.
So I think they cornerback was a position of weakness, and I think they made it a strength. Wide receiver with the loss of A.J. Brown. I think they took that weakness with the loss of him and they made it into a really good strength. And that's what the roster building is about. But safety, I think, is a weakness. You're relying a lot on Makuba coming back from injury, which he's going to be fine. But he also was opposite of Blankenship. And for Blankenship, I was never the biggest fan of him, meaning an elite starter, but he was a solid player. So now you're going to rely on Makuba to be your best safety out there. And you might not like the results of that. So, but again, you're not going to have to rely on your safety as much because you're going to have elite cover corners out there.
That's one of the things we talked about is if you have not only the corners, but you have edge rushers, then you don't have to worry about so much on your corners because they're getting in, they're getting home. They don't have to, cover as long, or you can mask those deficiencies within a team.
No, absolutely. And I think with the edge rusher position, we got Grenard, you got Jalix Hunt, you got Nolan Smith, you got a couple other guys. But I think that, and I forgot about him until a few days ago, Brandon Graham. Now, he's not signed. He is not signed, but he's already expressed interest in coming back. So I would have to assume that he's going to come back.
Why wouldn't you? You could probably get a steal for him, and he was impact
Oh,
on day one,
absolutely.
not just on the field, but in the locker room.
Mhm. And if I'm the Eagles, and I think I pretty much know what they're going to do, you pay him as long as he wants to play for you. He's
Yep.
not going to go to another team, so you pay him. And he, like you said, it's not like he's this aging guy that's just not producing. He was a hell of an impact player for
Yep.
us.
He came on and he made an immediate impact,
Mhm.
but by game 2 and 3 of him coming back, he was on there more and more. He was getting back into the rhythm. I think he is definitely he wants to play again, so he's keeping himself in shape for it to play again.
Mhm.
And I agree with you. That's one player you paid to bring back, and he'll be happy to take whatever contract to come out and
Yeah.
play. You pay it because and bring him back because he is that guy in the locker room
Mhm.
that will rally the team.
Yeah, veteran leadership as well as when he walks into a locker room, he commands a room. He demands that you recognize who he is. He's a Super Bowl champion, well, 2-time Super Bowl champion. He's been productive in the league. And I think what's good for him when it comes to the draft picks and these young guys coming in is Brandon Graham really knows what it was like to be criticized. He was a first round pick and he was not very productive at all. And he's heard it all from the fans.
Yep.
But through hard work, through perseverance, instead of withering, he came back and he's been one of the better players in Eagles history. So he can provide that insight. He can. Philadelphia is a hard place to play. if you got a guy that knows what it feels like to be knocked down, but still able to come back and come out on the other end, it's definitely a benefit.
Well, one of the things I think is Super Bowl 52, Kelsey and Graham, they had impacts on that, but
Mhm.
Kelsey more after as well became more. Everybody was more aware of him and his play after that. But during that, Brandon Graham was one of those players that relentlessly never gave up.
Right.
So he's a guy that is just going to keep doing it and keep the pursuit. Dan, I'm going to switch gears a little bit here because the Eagles obviously OTAs, but also they did exercise their fifth year option on Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith, which to me is a good decision.
Mm.
All right. It keeps them the value, the cap, not having to pay them, kind of spread things out. For the Eagles OTAs, there's some special dates kind of on it. The voluntary ones, May 26th and 27th and 29th, and then June 1st and 2nd and 4th. Now, they're not allowed to actually have physical contact, but they can do 7-on-7, 11-on-11 drills without live contact. It was said that AJ is not showing up until he understands where he's at. So
He knows where he's at.
that's why he's not showing up. He's like, why do I
Mhm.
put in any effort with this team if I don't know where I'm at? Which is really ironic for him because normally he just comes out and says exactly what he's feeling. So he knows his status. We all know his status. And in fact, we're going to come back to this clip and be like, you know, May 31st at 11:59, all of a sudden somebody posted it's 12 o'clock. And now
Mhm.
see ya, AJ's on a bus up to Mike Vrabel and all his issues.
Yeah, he's with Diana Russini for that.
Okay.
Yeah, anyway.
Do you want to be that type of talk show here?
Yeah.
So there's speculation. Do you know that she has a son named Michael too?
Yeah. Okay. That is such a weird situation. But yeah, I think
I love how
he's
he
gonna be
avoided
good.
that and kind of like
I'm
steered.
avoiding it because there's so many different directions you can go
Oh
with
my
that.
God. We can have a little fun on this show.
Well, you know what? I'll take it from a football perspective. Is I feel that it's a little bit of collusion, is it not? She was a inside reporter. She had insight knowledge inside organizations, and she's been in this intimate relationship with Vrabel for all these years, going back quite.
2018,
Yeah.
I think it was. There was pictures released or something like that. Yeah.
But isn't that the Patriot way? To find your
It
way,
is.
find your ways around the rules. We're not
Cheating
we're
from
deflating
Deflategate.
balls in more ways than one, buddy. We're deflating those balls now.
But I mean, there could be some insider stuff there. You can investigate it all you like, but I don't see. I mean, if you go back that far, he was with the Titans, right?
Yeah, he was
So
with the Titans.
so at that point,
Doesn't matter what the hell knowledge he was getting. They
yeah,
sucked
at that
anyways.
point, he could have given them all the inside knowledge.
Mhm.
They weren't getting any better, but now, maybe it did heat up since he went to the Patriots, and now they need a little bit. I mean, Kraft is probably okay with taking a little, penalty, and you know where I was going.
As long as he's at the massage parlor, he's good. Focus.
Oh
Focus.
my God, I'm gonna go on a little bit. I'm leaving all this shit anyway because this is just too funny.
Just focus.
I'm focused. Straight and narrow is all they say. Okay, so we've talked about some of all that stuff, and I know we've got to wrap things up real quick. The last thing I do want to talk about in about a week and a half,
Mhm.
Dan, myself, and my son are going to be down in Philly doing the Eagles Autism Challenge. Dan, why don't you express what this is all about? Because our first time was last year,
Yeah.
and now we're doing it every year.
Oh, absolutely. I'll do it every year until I'm crippled. So,
I can push you along. They got the tri bikes, a little basket in front.
all right, that's good with me. I don't think I'll fit one cheek in the basket, but I'm good.
We'll figure it out.
But it's an amazing cause. It really is. I mean, screw the fact that it's the Eagles. It's just the foundation is amazing. Jeffrey Lurie's been top notch with this thing. And the money they raise 100% goes towards autism research and, not just finding a cure, treating it, whatever's needed. But I mean, if you can't get behind the cause and there's something wrong with you, it's the experience itself is only part of it. The biking through Center City, the going to the art museum, even after they have all the activities that you can
Yep.
do, that's really only half of it. It's more about what the donation means, what you're doing, and the impact that you're able to make. And I've said it before, my nephew does have autism. He's getting more and more verbal, but it's a more, I hate to say, like, severe case of autism, but um and just seeing him, the way that he interacts and now being able to be a part, it adds a little bit of extra to it, just meaning that you can impact in such a way. And it's an amazing cause, really is.
One of the things you mentioned is that forget it that it says Eagles Autism
Mm.
Challenge. It's just something that Jeffrey Lurie and the foundation, everybody is very passionate about. And Dan and I have known about this, and I don't know what I was doing when I looked it up. I said, "Hey, I want to do this. You and I, we do this Philly fan radio, and we want to do it. But you have to sign up and get people to contribute to you to actually, do it, regardless of what and the contribution. The cause is phenomenal. And I think if I like when you approach somebody, hey, the Eagles, I'm not an Eagles fan. It's not that.
Mhm.
It's what the meaning behind it of them doing it and the cause that it goes to. Jeffrey Lurie, who is phenomenal at it. It's a personal thing for him. He does so much, even at the stadium. They have all kinds of stuff available for anybody who is autistic to enjoy the game in a way that's not normally meant for and it's so loud there. It's
Yeah.
so there's so much in on it. It's oversensing a lot of the kids, a lot of the people, and then I find it fun. And then the side thing of that is everything that they do to put this on. All the players that join you, Jeffrey's down there. It's the stuff you get to ride along and enjoy and have that conversation. The things that they do inside the stadium afterwards. Just having that ability to see how much they put into this challenge means a lot, and you're doing something good.
Yeah, and the fact that, you see some corporations, it's like, oh, well, 50% of the proceeds go towards
Oh
this.
yeah, yeah, and the rest go to
No,
their pockets and
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. No, 100% of the proceeds go towards
Yep,
autism. So the Eagles are not pocketing anything for this. And
yep.
it's weird to say, multi-billion dollar, we'll say corporation being the Philadelphia Eagles, oh, well, they got to take a kickback. No, they don't need the kickback, but they also aren't obligated to do this
Nope.
foundation. It's not like they're under any sort of scrutiny or anything, but no, it's an amazing cause. And like you said, even if you're not a fan of the team, consider donating $5.
Yep.
Who cares? $5, anything that you can do just to help the cause. And, if you're a Philly fan, come down.
Yeah. So May 9th, come down there. We'll be riding through Philly, all the way down to City Hall, to the museum, back through the roads. It is a real cool experience to do it. This year, they are shutting down the roads so that we don't have to deal with traffic. That was a little challenging and interesting, but come on down. You have until the end of the month, end of May, actually, to support the cause. It's not when this challenge happens. So we're really looking forward to this. As I wrap things up, I'm going to pass it over to you, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, going with the team, I think that I came away from the draft feeling really good about the way that the team is constructed. The distraction thing is going to be gone June 1st. So we'll just throw that out there. But I hate the fact now that we got to wait for such a long time to see the team because there's so many question marks. But that's what football is. That's what being an Eagles fan is the anticipation of it all. But I feel really good about the way that the team is and the way that like I said, they've taken weaknesses and they've converted them into strengths. And when you look at this roster, there's nothing that I could say honestly that is horrible. So I look forward to the season. I look forward to the off season. Hopefully the next few months go a lot faster than what they've been since the Super Bowl ended because I've just been sitting here been like,
Sundays without Super Bowl.
yeah, Sundays without football suck.
Yep.
We need football.
Well, the good news is FIFA is coming, so the World Cup's coming to keep us a little entertained. It's be
I'll leave that to you. I'm not a soccer fan.
You know what? I bet you'll be watching some of those. So we'll have a watch party or
I
something.
want a nap.
Yeah. So before I wrap things up, I've got a little bit, I'm hoping that we run into Sean Mannion down at the Eagles Autism Challenge. I shake his hand, take a picture, and don't realize it's him,
I'm going to have to put it on my phone and be like,
Yeah.
that looks like it.
Yeah, we actually, I got a cool idea. We should go down with wanted posters. Have you seen this guy at wanted? Sean Mannion, like, just
Yeah, exactly.
has anybody seen it coming there? My next thing is na 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 na. Hey hey, goodbye, AJ.
Bye. See you later.
All right, everybody. This has been the Philly Fan Radio. I'm your host John Meyer, along with Dan Palmieri. Dan,
Go
Birds.
Birds.